everybody, you're back with the Lone Wolf once again. I thought in today's video I would just do a stream of consciousness analysis. Just riff it, completely just go off piste. I was recently talking with a family friend who is probably, he must be in his early 50s. We were talking just about the dating landscape in the West and how atrocious it is. My video that I put out a week or two ago about online dating for men, and I'll include a link, exploring topics related to just the scarcity of dateable women in the West. I've been fortunate. I didn't travel a lot until my late 20s, but in recent years I've been able to go to a lot of places in Western Europe and North America. Obviously based in the UK, but I've lived in Ireland, I've lived in North America, the US, Canada. I've also spent time in the Netherlands. And the story is the same everywhere. It's impossible. It's absolutely impossible. Now, in this conversation, he was reassuring me that your 30s are your best years, absolutely prime years as a man for dating. And if you've watched commentators and people in this space, they tend to say the same thing. But I just can't stop feeling that and I'm not averse to dating at all. I mean, I'm open to it, but I certainly wouldn't cohabit or get married. It's a stupid decision to make for a number of reasons. But just the quality of dateable women is just, it's through the floor in all of these nations. The only place that I could actually recommend, I've been to the Czech Republic. I went there to see a concert a few years ago, and it was the first time I'd ever been to Central Europe. I've never been to Russia. I really would like to go to Russia. But just walking around Prague was massively eye-opening for me, because you get a perspective, you get a viewpoint from your own country. Because I spent so long in my own country, till maybe my mid to late 20s, you get an idea that it's just going to be constant everywhere. The availability is just going to be constant. You get accustomed to things. But walking around Prague, it was like being in a sweet shop. It was like the boys on Fresh and Fit, they're always talking about the candy store. That was like a candy store. There was women that looked thin, feminine, not covered in tattoos, all beautiful. Obviously, Prague is a highly international city, but it was just absolutely eye-opening. It was phenomenal. And the fact that Prague is a beautiful city anyway. It's probably got the best architecture, some of the best architecture in the world. Like every single block, you're just walking around and exploring. Every single block has a work of art, a building that's just absolutely beautiful. Even in like the areas that aren't quite so nice, you've got a building that just stands out a mile away. And it can compete with anything in, say, London or France, anywhere like that. So I strongly believe, and if you follow other commentators like Andrew Tate, for example, he's moved to Eastern Europe, and they thoroughly enjoy it, thoroughly recommend it, in fact. And in the West, we seem to have this view of Eastern Europeans, a negative view because of the tensions, I guess, with Russia. If you look at the Richard Laruna interview on Good Morning Britain, that's hilarious, where he's talking about Russian women being better looking, having better personalities than British women, and he gets absolutely lambasted by Piers Morgan. That was eye-opening exchange. But just on reflection, like everywhere I've been for maybe the last 4, 5, 6 years. So in my hiatus from YouTube, I've been able to travel a little bit, and it's all been in the Western nations, the Western sphere of influence. And I honestly thought it would be easier. I thought in North America it would be easier, but it isn't. It's worse. It's much worse. It's a case in point. Because of this ongoing global situation, you have to use dating platforms. And as I said in my online dating video, I've basically been running it as a social experiment over the last 4 or 5 years. All of the profiles are the same. They're generic. All the profiles are like, take me on an adventure. Everyone is bubbly. Every single woman's profile they're bubbly. Passions include food and Netflix. You know, when you're in an environment, the level of social claps, you know it's complete when someone's tattoos have more personality or more backstory than their own being, their own fibre. And it just struck me as like, and many other people in this space have realised this already. It's like you just cannot form long-term relationships. It's the majority. Obviously, I'm generalising here. But you look at the Fresh and Fit podcast and their explosive growth. Just look at the quality of women that they get on there. They're all, even the attractive ones, they're busted mentally. They're completely busted mentally, and they've got no grounding. There's no compass. There's no true north at all. And I do wonder where it's going to lead, and whether I'll be sticking around to find out. I think, you know, most of you out there, if you've got plans, contingency plans to move abroad. I mean, I just saw Rich Cooper's video on how he's going to be moving from Canada potentially in the future because of the woke policies and the financial situation, the high tax rates on entrepreneurs and business owners. What's going to happen in the future? You need a contingency plan. If Joker on Better Bachelor, he talks about Asian women, Vietnamese, Laotian, Cambodian, people from Singapore, I guess, Chinese women, and how they still, they want to be submissive, they want to form a cooperative relationship, they want the man to take the lead, they want to be feminine. And I think that's something that we've definitely lost in the West. And it's what's led to more and more men going their own way. And certainly myself, I've been going my own way for as long as I can remember, but officially since maybe 2013, 2014. And it's almost like your friends, your close friends that you don't really talk about this stuff with. I mean, I would if they asked me, if they, to be open with them. But it's almost like they're blinded to it. They can't see it. They're happy in their mid-30s to just settle for things, to settle for what's available. But myself, I'm not happy to settle for what's available. I'm always trying to improve and build and seek what's, I want the best things in life that I think, and I'm happy to work for them. I'm not going to hang around and wait for, people that are spent. They've blown. If you look at the dating profiles between the age of 30 onwards, you're just looking at people, but majority of which are just busted up, and they've got children already, they've got baggage, but they have all these demands, these ridiculous demands. And those of you who are subscribed to Keeping It Keith, he does a great analysis, and Joker as well. They do analysis of dating profiles, and it's really hilarious of what they come across. And you wonder how much worse it can get. You know, already, if you're thinking about investments, and the population is going to decline. It has to decline because the gender relations have never been worse. People are having less children. The birth rate is less than 2. So when the previous generation moves on, no one's replacing them. So what's going to happen to economic growth in the future? Generation from now, you've got to be thinking way down the line. It's a concern. And for me, I'm not really bothered about marriage and having children. It would be nice to have a relationship that is mutually beneficial, that has a traditional air about it, that isn't adversarial. I don't want to have to handle somebody with attitude. And I've not seen it. Like I said, I'm going to do a separate video on travelling and why it's so important and why I wish I'd done it earlier in my life. But you look at travelling around the Western nations. I'm talking about Europe, the UK, Ireland, Canada, North America, Canada and the US, obviously. It's a joke. It's broken. And you don't need to take my word for that. You can just look at the statistics, look at the articles that come out. And a mixture of that is to do with the relations between the genders, the poisonous ideologies that have taken hold, political situations. It's never been worse. So I think long term, guys, you've got to think about where you want to be in the future. You need to travel to educate yourself about what works and what doesn't in other nations, because it opens your eyes to what's out there and what's available. Certainly if you're in the West, you need to think about what you're going to do, where you want to be in your life before you get too old to do it. Okay? So I hope you enjoyed that. I was just riffing it. I was just recorded this video. It's just after midnight. I've got a drink and just doing something a bit more laid back. But just thinking out loud, really. But yeah, so I'm certainly not, in my travels, I've not seen anything that would warrant marriage material for years now. So let me know what you think. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And I'll be putting out more content in the days and weeks to come. Thanks for listening.